All right, we now go to some breaking news. A New York federal judge has just dropped the death penalty charge against Luigi Mangione for the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This is a major blow to prosecutors. U.S. District Judge Margaret Garnett found that the charge was, quote, technically flawed. CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi joins us now for more on this story. So talk about how this decision you think was made.
Yeah, this is an epic win for the defense. And I do want to just walk through a little bit of how the technical law plays into this decision, because it's not simply just the judge deciding, hey, I don't think the death penalty should be eligible in this case. There were 4 counts. This federal indictment charged Mangione with 4 counts. The first 2 involve stalking, and the second 2 counts 3 and 4 are those death penalty. 3 was the death penalty eligible count, which involved murder through the use of a firearm in commission of another crime of violence. And we've heard this idea of a predicate crime before. Counts 3 and 4, those predicate crimes were the stalking charges. And the defense made a really good motion noting that stalking is not a crime of violence. Therefore, counts 3 and 4 were legally insufficient. And that's what the judge agreed with today. This is why having very sophisticated criminal defense attorneys pays off. They are winning almost every motion they are making. Remember, in the state case, they got that highest charge off the table, murder 1, because they said this was not an act of terrorism. The judge agreed with them there. The life in prison, which was the highest sentence available on that charge, taken off the table in the state case. Now we have the death penalty taken off the table in the federal case. Huge win for the defense.
So remind us, Caroline, what the debate over the evidence was, specifically with regards to when police first approached Luigi Mangione.
Yeah, Vlad, that's sort of the major outstanding issue left to be decided in both of these cases, and it is pivotal. So I mentioned before that the defense is winning, is winning many major motions, including this one we just heard about. However, I'm not as confident that they will win this motion, which is a huge make or break motion, both for the prosecution and the defense. Essentially, what Mangione's attorneys were arguing is that evidence that was seized in the Altoona McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, upon his arrest, in his backpack, key pieces of evidence in his backpack, including that magazine cartridge, the gun, we're seeing it there, a journal, basically a manifesto explaining reasons about why he allegedly did what he did. All of that, the defense is saying, was obtained in violation of his Fourth Amendment right because they didn't have a warrant. Now, the alternate argument to that, police can do a search without a warrant and be not in violation of the Constitution if there are exigent circumstances. And I think the judge ultimately will let this evidence in under what's known as the inevitable discovery doctrine. It's a pretty technical legal issue, but this is what these lawyers are doing. They are getting down into the nitty-gritty, making these motions and causing really putting the government to their proof. That's sort of the last question in this case before we get to trial, and that's sort of the biggest issue left to be determined. Again, I'm not optimistic that the defense will win that, but the defense must be very, very happy today in this ruling to dismiss counts 3 and 4. Really big deal.
Caroline, I can't remember the last time we had a case this big, this captivating, really not just here in the U.S., but around the world, right? There was so much publicity about it. I felt like everyone's social media feeds were just filled with images and videos of Luigi Mangione. And I just wonder how, if any way, that may impact the legal proceedings here.
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to be an incredibly difficult case for trial to pick a jury. One of the issues today to be addressed was that juror questionnaire, which is essentially trying to sift out jurors that are that potentially could have biases that they can't overcome. I mean, we're seeing this Free Luigi Mangione movement really pick up speed here. I mean, this breaking news about somebody trying to break him out of the federal prison that he's in. I mean, his defense fund is funded in large part from, people around the country that support him. And so that will be one of the biggest issues in picking a jury, trying to get a fair trial. You're never going to seat jurors that haven't heard of this case. It's just impossible. But the goal is to seat jurors that can be fair and impartial. And really what the prosecutors don't want are those rogue jurors that are pretending really to be impartial, but secretly have some sort of, allegiance to Mangione and or his movement that will just never vote to convict him.
So, Caroline, this is a federal case that we're talking about here, but Mangione is also facing state charges. Where does that case stand?
That's exactly right, Vlad. And we're seeing a very public turf war over which jurisdiction is going to get the first crack at trying Mangione. Just recently, Alvin Bragg's office, the district attorney that has pending murder charges against Mangione as well, wrote to the judge in that case saying, look, we are ready to go to trial. They proposed a July trial date, Vlad, which is obviously before that September trial date in the federal case, which is set to go to, pick a jury essentially in September. And so Mangione's team, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, she released a statement saying, well, this is the first we've heard of that. It's highly unfair. We've been preparing for a trial in September, and it's really unduly prejudicial for us to have to prepare for the state trial, which, it's the same conduct, Vlad, but it's different charges. And so, really, it's not a good look for both offices, both the Southern District of New York and the district attorney's office. They're clearly not on the same page. And I think part of that has to do with the administration change. Pam Bondi coming in, really pushing hard for that death penalty, wanting to sort of get the first crack at having that trial in federal courts.
All right, all eyes on this case. Caroline Polisi, thank you for your time and perspective. We'll bring you updates throughout the day.